21 secret surgeries that change Golden Age stars forever. The glitz, the glamour, the perfect smiles and flawless faces. Golden Age Hollywood's biggest stars seem to embody perfection itself. But what if I told you that behind those iconic features were secret scalpels, hidden recovery rooms, and procedures that were buried deeper than any Hollywood scandal? That's right. Those timeless faces you've admired for decades were often carefully crafted through surgeries that studios went to extraordinary lengths to conceal. From subtle enhancements to complete facial reconstructions, today we're counting down 21 secret surgeries that transformed Hollywood's greatest icons forever. And trust me, by the time we reach number 1, you'll never look at classic Hollywood the same way again. The Hollywood machine didn't just make movies, it manufactured stars, sometimes quite literally reshaping them for the silver screen. These weren't just minor touch-ups. They were life-altering procedures that created the very features we came to adore. So settle in as we reveal how Hollywood's most beloved faces were secretly sculpted to perfection, starting with number 21 and working our way to the most shocking transformation of the Golden Age. Number 21, Audrey Hepburn. Let's start our countdown with someone who epitomized natural beauty, or so we thought. Audrey Hepburn's delicate features and enchanting smile captivated audiences worldwide in classics like Roman Holiday and Breakfast at Tiffany's, but that perfect smile? Not entirely natural. Before her breakthrough, Hepburn underwent subtle dental procedures to correct minor imperfections. Studio dental surgeons carefully reshaped her slightly crooked teeth, giving her that flawless smile that became part of her trademark elegance. While her procedures were minor compared to others on our list, they show how even the most natural beauties were subtly enhanced to meet Hollywood's impossible standards. Hepburn's dental work was performed in the early 1950s, just before her star-making role in Roman Holiday. Paramount executives, upon signing her, immediately arranged for the dental corrections, considering them an essential investment in their new potential star. The studio's dental surgeon later recalled that Hepburn was initially reluctant, concerned that altering her smile might change her natural appearance. She was eventually persuaded that the subtle corrections would only enhance her already remarkable beauty. What makes Hepburn's case fascinating is that unlike many stars of her era, she largely avoided major surgical alterations, with the studio focusing instead on her natural grace and distinctive features. Her subtle dental work reminds us that even the most seemingly untouched stars received some help in creating their iconic images. In Hepburn's case, the procedures were so minimal and skillfully done that they simply perfected what nature had already made exceptional. Number 20, James Dean. The brooding bad boy of 1950s cinema, James Dean projected an image of rebellious confidence on screen. But behind that cool facade was a young man deeply insecure about his smile. Before becoming the icon we remember from Rebel Without a Cause, Dean underwent significant dental work to create his perfect, rebellious grin. Dean's natural teeth were uneven and slightly discolored, hardly fitting for a rising Hollywood heartthrob. Studio dentists fitted him with dental veneers that gave him the confident smile that helped define his screen persona. This transformation wasn't just cosmetic, it fundamentally changed how Dean carried himself, contributing to the self-assured image that made him a legend. Dean's dental work was completed in 1954, shortly after he signed with Warner Brothers, and studio records indicate that the procedures were performed over several weeks, with Dean often expressing impatience with the process. One dental technician later recalled that Dean was particularly anxious about maintaining a masculine appearance, repeatedly asking if the veneers would look too perfect or too Hollywood. Ironically, the symbol of authentic youth rebellion had an artificially perfected smile, just another example of how Hollywood manufactured even its most authentic stars. Dean's dental enhancements reveal the contradiction at the heart of his screen persona. The rebellious outsider was, in reality, as carefully crafted as any studio star. Number 19. Gloria Swanson. Long before modern celebrities made plastic surgery commonplace, silent film star Gloria Swanson was pioneering facial procedures in Hollywood. As one of the first major stars to embrace surgical intervention to maintain her career, Swanson's case opened the door for generations of actors to follow. In the late 1920s and early 1930s, as silent films gave way to talkies and younger actresses threatened her reign, Swanson underwent early versions of facelifts and eye procedures. These primitive surgeries were performed in utmost utmost secrecy, with Swanson often vacationing in Europe to conceal her recovery time from the public and press. Swanson's first facelift was performed in Paris in 1928 by a French surgeon who had developed techniques treating disfigured World War I veterans. The procedure was rudimentary by modern standards, involving simple skin tightening without the sophisticated understanding of facial structure that would develop later. Recovery was painful and lengthy, requiring Swanson to remain in seclusion for nearly 2 months, time that was explained to the public as an extended shopping trip. What's remarkable about Swanson is her determination to control her image at a time when aging actresses were typically discarded. In an industry that worshipped youth, particularly for its female stars, Swanson refused to fade gracefully into character roles. Her willingness to undergo risky early procedures showed just how far stars would go to preserve their careers in Hollywood's ruthless system. Number 18. Kirk Douglas. The chiseled good looks and distinctive chin of Kirk Douglas made him one of Hollywood's most recognizable leading men. But that famous dimpled chin that became his trademark, it wasn't entirely natural. Early in his career, Douglas reportedly underwent subtle chin augmentation to enhance what was already a strong feature. Studio executives saw potential in Douglas, but wanted to accentuate his masculine features to create a more distinctive screen presence. The procedure emphasized his already prominent chin, creating that famous dimple that became his visual signature in films like Spartacus and Champion. Douglas's chin enhancement was performed around 1946 as he transitioned from stage work to film acting. The procedure was pioneering for its time, involving a small implant that defined and shaped the cleft in his chin. Unlike the more extensive procedures some stars endured, Douglas's enhancement was designed to amplify an existing feature rather than create something entirely new. The surgery worked remarkably well. So well, in fact, that few ever questioned whether his rugged appearance was entirely natural. Douglas's enhanced chin became so iconic that it later influenced his son Michael Douglas's image as well, showing how manufactured features could become family trademarks. In a revealing moment years later, when asked by a journalist about his famous chin, Douglas simply replied, "I've always had it." Technically true, but a statement that neatly avoided acknowledging the surgical enhancement that had made it so distinctive. Number 17. Betty Grable. Those famous million-dollar legs that made Betty Grable the #1 pinup girl for American troops during World War II. They were worth every penny to the studios that insured them, and they made sure those assets were perfectly maintained, even if it required surgical intervention. What few fans realized was that Grable underwent painful leg-shaping procedures and treatments to maintain the perfect shape and contour of her legendary limbs. These included early versions of targeted liposuction and skin-tightening treatments that kept her legs camera-ready for those iconic pinup shots. In the early 1940s, as Grable's status as America's sweetheart was solidified, 20th Century Fox invested heavily in maintaining her famous legs. Studio records indicate regular appointments with a European body sculptor who had developed techniques for reshaping leg contours through a combination of mechanical massage, early liposuction, and injections that temporarily reduced fluid retention. The maintenance of Grable's famous legs was a closely guarded secret, as they were literally her most valuable asset. Her 1943 bathing suit poster became the most requested pinup image among American servicemen, with over 5 million copies distributed. The studio's investment in maintaining those perfect legs paid off handsomely, even if the procedures caused Grable considerable discomfort throughout her career. Fox went so far as to insure Grable's legs for $1 million with Lloyd's of London, a publicity stunt that nevertheless underscored their value to the studio. What the public wasn't told was how much artificial assistance went into maintaining the assets that had been insured for such a remarkable sum. Number 16. Marlon Brando. Before he became the brooding, mumbling anti-hero that revolutionized acting, Marlon Brando was just another handsome young actor with a slightly too wide nose. Early in his career, before his breakout role in A Streetcar Named Desire, Brando underwent a subtle rhinoplasty to refine his rugged good looks. The procedure was minor by Hollywood standards, just enough to narrow and define his nose while maintaining its strong character. The studio didn't want to completely transform his distinctive appearance, just refine it for the camera. This subtle change helped frame his intense eyes and strong jaw, creating the magnetic look that would make him a star. Brando's nose job was performed in 1949, arranged discreetly through contacts at the actor's studio where he was studying. Unlike many studio-mandated procedures, Brando's surgery appears to have been been his own decision, made after seeing early screen tests in which he felt his nose appeared too broad for the camera. The surgeon who performed the procedure later noted that Brando was unusually specific about his desires, insisting that the changes be minimal. He didn't want to look pretty, the surgeon recalled. He just wanted his nose to stop being the first thing people noticed. What's fascinating about Brando's case is that he later became known for rejecting Hollywood's superficial values, yet he himself had participated in the system of physical enhancement early in his career. His subtle nose job represents the compromise even the most serious actors made to succeed in the image-obsessed studio system. Number 15. Ava Gardner. Ava Gardner's exotic beauty made her one of Hollywood's most captivating stars, but achieving that perfect look required painful alterations that few fans ever knew about. Before becoming MGM's sultry leading lady, Gardner underwent hairline electrolysis and facial contouring that helped create her distinctive appearance. Gardner's natural hairline was lower and less defined than the studio desired. Through an agonizing process of electrolysis, the same painful procedure Rita Hayworth endured, Gardner's hairline was raised and reshaped to better frame her face. Additionally, subtle facial contouring emphasized her already prominent cheekbones, creating the exotic look that made her famous. Gardner's transformation began immediately after she signed with MGM in the early 1940s. Studio head Louis B. Mayer, upon viewing her initial screen tests, declared her almost perfect, but instructed the studio's beauty department to fix that forehead. The resulting electrolysis treatments were performed weekly for nearly 6 months, with each session causing such pain that Gardner occasionally fainted during the procedure. A makeup artist who worked with Gardner during this period later recalled that she would often arrive for sessions with her eyes red from crying after the treatments. She'd joke about it, the makeup artist remembered, saying that beauty and torture went hand in Hollywood, but you could tell the procedures were taking a toll. The pain Gardner endured for beauty was considerable. Electrolysis in that era was done without effective anesthesia, with each hair follicle individually shocked to death. For Gardner, like many actresses of her generation, physical pain was simply the price of stardom in Hollywood's golden age. Number 14. Humphrey Bogart. That distinctive speaking style that made Humphrey Bogart a legend? It wasn't entirely natural. Before becoming Hollywood's tough guy in classics like Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon, Bogart struggled with a mild lisp that threatened to derail his career as leading man material. The solution was extensive dental work that corrected the structural issues causing his speech impediment. However, rather than completely eliminating his unique way of speaking, the procedures modified it into the cool, slightly lisping delivery that became his trademark sound. Bogart's dental reconstruction was performed in stages between 1935 and 1937, as he transitioned from supporting roles to leading parts at Warner Brothers. The work was extensive, involving both cosmetic improvements and structural changes to address the source of his lisp. According to dental records later made public, Bogart received partial dentures and had several teeth reshaped to change the way his tongue moved during speech. Jack Warner personally approved the expensive procedures, considering them an essential investment in Bogart's potential as a leading man. The studio head reportedly told Bogart, "Fix the teeth, fix the lisp, or find another line of work," an ultimatum that left the actor little choice but to undergo the painful procedures. What began as a potential career liability became, after surgical intervention, one of Bogart's most recognizable assets. His slightly unusual speech pattern gave his tough guy characters a distinctive sound that audiences came to love. It's a perfect example of how Hollywood didn't just correct flaws, but sometimes transform them into iconic characteristics. Number 13. Sophia Loren, the smoldering Italian beauty. Sophia Loren possessed what appeared to be naturally perfect features, but even she underwent subtle procedures to enhance her already striking appearance. Early in her career, Loren had minor work done to emphasize her almond-shaped eyes and enhance her cheekbones. Unlike the dramatic overhauls some stars endured, Loren's procedures were masterfully subtle, just enough to amplify her natural beauty without creating an artificial appearance. Small adjustments to the skin around her eyes helped accentuate their exotic shape, while minimal contouring enhanced her already prominent cheekbones. Loren's enhancements were performed in Rome in the early 1950s before her international breakthrough. Italian producer Carlo Ponti, who would later become her husband, arranged for the procedures after a cameraman complained that her eyes, while beautiful, didn't photograph as dramatically as they appeared in person. The surgeon who performed the work later described it as enhancing what was already exceptional. The procedure, known as a lateral canthopexy, subtly adjusted the outer corners of her eyes, creating a more pronounced almond shape that photographed beautifully. The brilliance of Lauren's enhancements lies in how undetectable they were. They simply made her natural beauty photograph more dramatically on screen, creating the smoldering look that made her an international sex symbol. Her case demonstrates how the most effective Hollywood surgeries weren't about transformation, but enhancement, making natural beauty even more captivating on camera. Unlike many stars who were forced into procedures by studio demands, Lauren appears to have approached her enhancements as practical business decisions. According to her longtime makeup artist, she viewed them as investments in her instrument, reasonable adjustments to ensure her natural beauty translated effectively to film. Number 12. Dean Martin. The smooth, debonair crooner who partnered with Jerry Lewis before becoming a solo star underwent a significant rhinoplasty early in his career that refined his appearance and helped create his sophisticated image. Before the surgery, Martin's nose was broader and less defined, giving him a rougher appearance that didn't match the suave persona the studio wanted to create. Martin's nose job was part of a broader transformation from Dino Crocetti, the son of Italian immigrants, to Dean Martin, sophisticated entertainer. The procedure gave him a more refined profile that complemented his relaxed, elegant performing style and helped distance him from ethnic stereotypes that might have limited his appeal to mainstream audiences. The rhinoplasty was performed in 1948, during the peak of his partnership with Jerry Lewis. Studio records indicate that the procedure was suggested by Paramount executives who felt Martin's natural nose was too ethnic-looking for the romantic roles they envisioned for him. The surgery was scheduled during a planned break in Martin and Lewis's performing schedule, allowing adequate recovery time before their next film commitment. Martin was initially reluctant, concerned that changing his appearance might affect his relationship with fans. According to Lewis's later recollections, Martin worried that the surgery represented a rejection of his Italian heritage. "They're trying to make me look less Italian," he reportedly told Lewis. "Next, they'll want me to change my name again." Despite these reservations, Martin ultimately agreed to the procedure, recognizing its potential career benefits. The surgery was so successful that few ever questioned whether Martin's handsome features were entirely natural. His refined appearance became central to his image as the laid-back, martini-sipping entertainer who embodied effortless cool for a generation of Americans. Number 11. Greta Garbo. The mysterious Swedish actress whose enigmatic beauty captivated audiences underwent multiple subtle procedures to create her distinctive look. Before becoming Garbo, she had facial contouring and an early form of weight modification surgery to transform from a plump-faced newcomer to the sculpted icon we remember. When Garbo first arrived in Hollywood, studio executives saw potential in her expressive eyes, but felt her round face lacked the dramatic contours that photographed well on screen. Early facial contouring procedures sharpened her cheekbones and jawline, while controlled weight loss, sometimes aided by surgical intervention, created her famously slender appearance. Garbo's transformation began in 1925, shortly after she signed with MGM. Studio head Louis B. Mayer, dissatisfied with her rounder features in early screen tests, ordered a comprehensive makeover that included both surgical and non-surgical interventions. Dental work refined her smile, while primitive facial contouring, using both mechanical manipulation and early surgical techniques, created the high cheekbones and defined jawline that became her trademark. The most controversial aspect of Garbo's transformation involved an early form of bariatric intervention. While not as extensive as modern weight loss surgeries, the procedure reduced her stomach capacity, enforcing the extreme slenderness that became part of her screen persona. This intervention, combined with the studio's notorious control over her diet, maintained the angular facial structure that photographed so dramatically. These changes helped create the haunting, angular beauty that became her trademark. Garbo's transformation shows how studios didn't just enhance stars' features, they sometimes completely reimagined them, sculpting new faces that would read better on camera and create more memorable screen presences. Number 10. Cary Grant. As we enter the top 10 of our countdown, we come to Hollywood's definition of timeless elegance. Cary Grant's seemingly ageless appearance delighted audiences for decades, but few realized that maintaining that perfect image required surgical assistance as he grew older. Grant underwent a subtle but effective facelift in his late 40s, at a time when such procedures for men were virtually unheard of. The surgery was performed with extraordinary discretion, with Grant disappearing to a private facility under an assumed name. The results were masterful. Rather than creating an obviously tight appearance, the procedure simply maintained his naturally handsome features. Grant's facelift was performed in 1952 as he approached his 50th birthday, a milestone that caused considerable anxiety for a star whose appeal was so closely tied to his youthful appearance. Unlike today's more comprehensive procedures, the surgery focused primarily on his jawline and neck, addressing the earliest signs of aging while preserving his natural expressions. The procedure was arranged through a private physician rather than studio channels, with Grant checking into a discreet Swiss clinic under the name Alexander Archibald, a play on his birth name of Archibald Leach. He remained there for 3 weeks, with his absence from Hollywood explained as a European vacation. What makes Grant's case fascinating is his obsessive secrecy about the procedure. While female stars were expected to do whatever necessary to maintain their appearance, male stars like Grant had to pretend their enduring good looks were entirely natural. The pressure to appear effortlessly youthful created a double standard that forced stars like Grant to hide the work that kept them camera-ready into their later years. Number 9. Joan Crawford. One of Hollywood's most enduring stars, Joan Crawford's distinctive appearance was significantly enhanced through painful dental procedures that helped create her famous facial structure. Crawford's most notable procedure involved the removal of back molars, an extreme measure that accentuated her already prominent cheekbone. This drastic step, taken early in her career as she transitioned from dancing to serious acting, created the hollow-cheeked dramatic appearance that became her visual signature. Combined with her heavily drawn eyebrows and distinctive makeup, this surgically enhanced structure made her face unmistakable and highly photogenic. Crawford's dental alterations began around 1928, as MGM sought to transform her from a jazz-age flapper to a sophisticated dramatic actress. Studio dental records indicate the systematic removal of several healthy molars over a 2-year period, with each extraction strategically planned to enhance her facial structure. The procedures were performed without modern pain management techniques, causing Crawford considerable suffering. According to her longtime makeup artist, Crawford endured these painful extractions stoically, viewing them as necessary sacrifices for her career advancement. Joan believed in paying whatever price was necessary for success, the makeup artist later recalled. She considered physical pain a reasonable investment in her future. Crawford's willingness to endure significant pain for beauty was legendary in Hollywood. The molar extractions were performed without modern anesthesia and created lasting discomfort. Yet for Crawford, physical suffering was simply the price of creating a memorable screen presence in the competitive studio system, a system that could discard actresses as quickly as it created them. Number 8. Clark Gable. The king of Hollywood had a secret that could have destroyed his masculine image. By his mid-30s, severe periodontal disease had left Clark Gable with significant tooth loss and decay. The solution? Complete dentures that gave him the perfect smile we remember from classics like Gone with the Wind. When Gable signed with MGM, the studio immediately addressed his dental problems as part of his transformation into leading man material. His rotting teeth were extracted and replaced with complete dentures, an extensive and painful process that was kept absolutely secret from the public and press. Gable's dental reconstruction began in 1932, shortly after his breakthrough performance in Red Dust. Studio dental records indicate severe periodontal disease, likely exacerbated by poor dental hygiene and heavy smoking. Rather than attempting to save his remaining teeth, MGM's dental surgeons recommended complete extraction and dentures, a drastic solution that promised immediate cosmetic improvement. The procedures were performed over several months, with temporary dentures used during filming to maintain his appearance. The final dentures, crafted by the studio's top prosthodontist, were designed to look natural on camera while enhancing his masculine appeal. The teeth were deliberately made slightly larger than natural, creating the powerful smile that became one of his most recognizable features. The dentures caused Gable considerable discomfort and affected his speech, requiring him to adapt his acting technique. Yet the alternative, appearing on screen with his natural teeth, would have shattered the romantic image that made him Hollywood's most bankable male star. His case shows just how completely stars could be physically rebuilt to create the perfect screen image. Number 7. Judy Garland. The beloved star of The Wizard of Oz endured some of Hollywood's cruelest physical alterations, beginning when she was just a child. Among the many ways MGM controlled Garland's appearance were painful dental procedures forced upon her as a teenager to perfect her smile for the camera. Studio dentists fitted the young Garland with removable caps that painfully altered the appearance of her teeth. These uncomfortable prosthetics had to be worn during filming, adding to the physical and emotional stress the young actress already endured from the studio's constant criticism of her appearance. Garland's dental alterations began when she was just 14 years old, part of MGM's comprehensive program to control every aspect of her appearance. Studio dental records from 1936 note significant irregularities requiring correction, though modern dentists who have reviewed the available photographs suggest her natural teeth were only mildly uneven, hardly justifying the extreme measures taken. Rather than pursuing orthodontic correction appropriate for a growing adolescent, the studio opted for immediate cosmetic solutions in the form of removable caps. These painful devices covered her natural teeth with perfect facades, but created significant discomfort and occasionally interfered with her speech and singing. What makes Garland's case particularly disturbing is that these procedures were performed on a minor without regard for her comfort or consent. They were part of a broader pattern of studio control that included forced dieting, amphetamine prescriptions, and constant monitoring of her weight and appearance, factors that contributed to the psychological issues that plagued her throughout her life. Number 6. Burt Lancaster. The athletic actor with the dazzling smile underwent significant dental reconstruction early in his career that helped create his dynamic screen presence. Before becoming a star, Lancaster had uneven, damaged teeth that didn't match his otherwise perfect physical appearance. Studio dentists performed extensive reconstructive work, including bridges and early forms of veneers, to create the perfect smile that became one of Lancaster's most valuable assets. The procedures were so successful that his brilliant white teeth became a key component of his screen persona in films like From Here to Eternity. Lancaster's dental transformation occurred in 1946 as he prepared for his film debut in The Killers. Studio dental records indicate significant prior damage, likely from his earlier careers as a circus acrobat and military serviceman. Several teeth were missing or broken, creating an appearance at odds with his athletic physique and handsome features. Unlike some stars who received complete dentures, Lancaster underwent a combination of procedures designed to preserve his remaining healthy teeth while replacing or covering damaged ones. The work included bridges, partial dentures, and early forms of bonding that created a uniform, bright appearance ideal for black and white film. The transformation was dramatic and immediate. In screen tests before and after the dental work, the difference is striking, not just in the appearance of his teeth, but in Lancaster's entire performance demeanor. With his new smile, he displayed newfound confidence, smiling more broadly and projecting the charismatic presence that would make him a star. Lancaster's case demonstrates how thoroughly studios assessed and corrected every aspect of a potential star's appearance. Number 5. Elizabeth Taylor. As we enter the top 5 of our countdown, we come to one of Hollywood's most beautiful women, a star whose legendary looks were subtly enhanced through careful dental work that perfected her already stunning appearance. While much attention has been paid to Taylor's natural features, her violet eyes and double row of eyelashes, less known are the dental procedures that created her dazzling smile. Before becoming a major star, the young Taylor underwent careful dental reconstruction to address slightly uneven teeth. Studio dentists meticulously reshaped her smile, ensuring it would be as perfect as her other famous features. The procedures were performed gradually throughout her adolescence, allowing for a natural-looking transition to her adult appearance. Taylor's dental transformation began around 1944, when she was just 12 years old and already under contract to MGM. Unlike the painful appliances forced on Judy Garland, Taylor's treatments were more sophisticated and considerate, using early orthodontic techniques combined with subtle cosmetic bonding to create her perfect smile. Studio records indicate the work was performed over several years, with particular attention paid to her front teeth, which were slightly uneven in her childhood appearances. The gradual approach allowed her smile to evolve naturally as she transitioned from child star to adolescent to adult leading lady, avoiding the obvious before and after appearance that might have attracted public attention. What's notable about Taylor's case is how the studio preserved her distinctive features while subtly correcting what they considered flaws. Unlike some stars who were completely transformed, Taylor's natural beauty was simply refined and enhanced, a more subtle approach that preserved her unique appeal while ensuring she met Hollywood's exacting standards. Number 4. John Wayne. The rugged symbol of American masculinity had a secret at odds with his tough guy image. John Wayne underwent facelift and eyelid surgeries to maintain his appearance as he aged. These procedures, performed with utmost secrecy in the 1950s and 1960s, helped preserve the weathered but vital appearance crucial to his screen persona. For a star whose entire career was built on projecting strength and resilience, the reality of aging presented a serious career threat. Wayne's surgeries were performed with extraordinary discretion, with the star disappearing on fishing trips that were actually recovery periods after his procedures. Wayne's first facelift was performed in 1953 as he approached his late 40s, a critical time for a leading man specializing in physically demanding roles. The surgery focused primarily on his jawline and neck, areas where aging is most noticeable in men. The procedure was remarkably successful, subtly restoring the firmer jaw that characterized his earlier appearances without creating an obviously worked-on appearance. Additional procedures followed in the early 1960s, including subtle eyelid surgery, blepharoplasty, that reduced the hooding that had begun to make him appear tired on camera. Each procedure was carefully timed to coincide with breaks between films, with recovery periods disguised as hunting or fishing expeditions. What makes Wayne's case particularly interesting is the studio's determination to keep these surgeries absolutely secret. For female stars, maintaining beauty through whatever means necessary was expected, if not openly discussed. But for Wayne, any hint of vanity surgeries could have shattered the authentic, rugged image that made him a cultural icon. His case reveals the double standard at the heart of Hollywood's beauty system. Number 3. Gary Cooper. The tall, dignified star with the distinctive profile underwent a procedure early in his career that few fans ever suspected: ear-pinning surgery to address protruding ears that the studio felt detracted from his handsome appearance. Before becoming a major star, Cooper's somewhat prominent ears were considered a potential liability for close-up camera work. The surgery, performed in the late 1920s as Cooper was transitioning from bit parts to leading roles, was a relatively simple procedure that dramatically improved his on-camera appearance. By pinning his ears closer to his head, the operation created the perfect profile that would become famous in films like High Noon. Cooper's otoplasty, or ear surgery, was performed around 1928 as Paramount began grooming him for leading roles. Studio executives, reviewing his early screen tests, noted that his ears protruded noticeably in profile shots, creating a distraction from his otherwise classically handsome features. The procedure was recommended as a minor adjustment that would significantly improve his screen presence. The surgery was performed by a surgeon who had refined his techniques treating war veterans with facial injuries, applying those reconstructive principles to the cosmetic concerns of Hollywood. Recovery was relatively quick, allowing Cooper to return to filming within weeks, with special attention paid to camera angles until healing was complete. Cooper's case reveals how even the smallest physical imperfections could threaten a Hollywood career. Despite his extraordinary good looks and acting talent, something as minor as slightly protruding ears was considered enough of a problem to require surgical intervention. In the merciless evaluation system of the studio era, no detail was too small to escape correction. Number 2. Rita Hayworth. Born Margarita Carmen Cancino, Rita Hayworth underwent one of Hollywood's most painful and extensive transformations to become the glamorous redhead we remember. The most dramatic element was a series of electrolysis treatments to completely reshape her hairline, raising it by over an inch to create a more American appearance. This agonizing procedure, performed without effective anesthesia, involved electrically killing hair follicles across her forehead and at her temples. The goal was to erase her ethnic appearance, transforming her from a visibly Hispanic actress to one who could pass for non-ethnic white, a requirement for leading lady status in 1940s Hollywood. Hayworth's transformation began in 1935, when Columbia Pictures chief Harry Cohn decided to remake the struggling dancer into a major star. Her ethnic appearance, with her naturally dark hair, low hairline, and olive skin, was considered a barrier to leading roles. The solution was a complete physical reinvention, starting with the painful electrolysis treatments to raise her hairline. The electrolysis was performed performed weekly for nearly 18 months, with each session focusing on a small section of her hairline. The pain was excruciating, with Hayworth later describing it as feeling like having your skin burned off inch by inch. There was no effective pain management available, requiring her to simply endure the torturous sessions as the price of potential stardom. Combined with hair dye that changed her naturally black hair to auburn and a name change that obscured her Spanish heritage, the electrolysis treatments completed her transformation from Margarita Cancino to Rita Hayworth. The pain she endured for stardom was extraordinary, with each session causing intense suffering, yet the alternative, remaining a typecast exotic dancer rather than becoming a leading lady, made this physical ordeal seem necessary in the context of Hollywood's racist star system. Number 1. Marilyn Monroe. We've reached number 1 on our countdown, the most dramatic and influential secret surgery of Hollywood's golden age. Before she became the blonde bombshell who defined a generation's idea of female sexuality, Marilyn Monroe was Norma Jean Baker, a pretty but unremarkable young woman with little hint of the iconic beauty she would become. Marilyn's transformation included multiple procedures that completely reshaped her appearance. Most significant were a subtle chin implant that created the delicate heart-shaped face we remember, and a rhinoplasty that refined the tip of her nose, creating the perfect profile that would become world famous. Monroe's surgical transformation began in 1950 as she transitioned from modeling to serious acting aspirations. Talent agent Johnny Hyde, convinced of her potential, personally financed her surgeries, viewing them as essential investments in creating a major star. The procedures were performed by a Hollywood surgeon known for his subtle work with film actresses, with recovery taking place in utmost secrecy. The chin implant was the most significant procedure, creating the delicate, heart-shaped face that became Monroe's trademark. Before the surgery, her jawline was stronger and more square, attractive, but not distinctively memorable. The implant softened her appearance, creating the perfect frame for her famous smile and bedroom eyes. These surgical enhancements, combined with her famous platinum blonde hair color, dramatic makeup, and distinctive beauty mark, created an entirely new person, Marilyn Monroe, the manufactured fantasy who existed only on screen and in photographs. The naturally pretty Norma Jean was literally sculpted into the cultural icon whose image still defines American beauty decades after her death. What makes Monroe's case so significant is how completely her manufactured image has shaped our cultural standards of beauty. The surgically enhanced features that made her a star have been imitated by countless women, famous and unknown. Her transformation represents the ultimate example of Hollywood's power to not just enhance beauty, but to literally define what beauty means for generations to come. The physical pain these stars endured for beauty was just the beginning. The deeper cost was psychological, the creation of a divide between their natural selves and their manufactured images. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing not yourself, but a studio's idea of what you should be. For many of these stars, that division created a lifelong struggle with identity and self-worth. Marilyn Monroe perhaps said it best: "I'm trying to find myself. Sometimes that's not easy." Her words take on new meaning when we understand how literally herself had been reshaped by others. The stars we've discussed today weren't just asked to play roles on screen. They were asked to become entirely new people in real life, their very faces and bodies altered to meet an impossible standard. Think about the psychological toll. Judy Garland, forced into painful dental devices as a child, battling lifelong insecurity. Rita Hayworth, enduring electrolysis that literally erased her ethnic identity. Clark Gable, hiding his dentures even from close friends to maintain his virile image. The gap between their public perfection and private reality created wounds that fame and fortune couldn't heal. The sculpted chin of Marilyn Monroe, the raised hairline of Rita Hayworth, the perfect teeth of Clark Gable, these became the standards against which new stars would be measured. Perhaps we should view these Golden Age transformations not just as Hollywood exploitation, but as the first steps toward our current understanding that physical appearance can be a matter of personal choice rather than genetic destiny. These stars, through their secret surgeries, began a conversation about beauty and identity that continues to this day. And that concludes our journey through Hollywood's most carefully guarded surgical secrets. From Audrey Hepburn's subtle dental work to Marilyn Monroe's complete facial reconstruction, we've seen how thoroughly the studio system was willing to reshape its stars to create the perfect images that still captivate us today. If you enjoyed this look behind the glamorous facade of Golden Age Hollywood, please hit that like button. And if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, now's the perfect time to do so. We bring you new insights into classic Hollywood every week. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Which star's transformation surprised you the most? Did learning these secrets change how you view your favorite classic films? Let us know, and we'll see you in the next video where we'll continue exploring the fascinating secrets of Hollywood's golden era.